is talk about a product feature. And then from a feature, you get a benefit. Okay? Now, as you start processing this and you start writing these words down and you start building your description, here's how I do it. I brainstorm, I write all these things down, and I keep all these notes saved. Because you can always use all of this as content. The description can become a description for a product that you're selling. It become a blog post. You could turn it into an audio, a video. You could do a lot with it. So always keep all this information. You don't want to always be repetitive. Try to come up with new ideas. You can. It's a good idea to come up with new ideas, but always keep all this information. So now you have that content that you can use for everything you're doing. Now let's talk about the feature. A feature would be something that this product has that makes it unique. The benefit is what you get from that feature. So in this case, we said memory foam, right? Memory foam. That is the feature of the sneaker, memory foam. What is the benefit you get from a memory foam sneaker?
Comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes. What else? I guess no stress, right? So it's more comfort, okay? Maybe longer wear. Okay, longer wear, let's say. All right, good. That's feature number one. Simple. What could be feature number two?
The leather to clean.
The leather, right? So we're going to call it a special, I don't know the definition of leather, but let's just call it a special hide leather, that type of thing, right? So leather, which makes it easier to keep clean, right? Higher quality. All right, keep clean and quality. Okay, good. So that's another feature and a benefit. And then one more feature would be what?
Lightweight.
Lightweight. Perfect. Yeah, lightweight. Lightweight, and why is that good? What benefit do I get from that? Comfort, right? Maybe it doesn't drag you down, doesn't make you so tired. Right, pull your weight down, stuff like that. So comfort we have up here already. So we could do it twice, but we should try to find a more unique way.
Easier to run.
Yeah, let's say easier to run, more mobile. Let's say, right?
More mobile, yeah.
Yeah, more mobile, faster, speed. Okay, good. Now we get it. So those are features and benefits. Notice that every feature has a direct benefit that you get because of it. So that's that feature and benefits section. Now, this is important to understand because now we turn this into a post. Imagine the post. I want you to visualize a picture of a red sneaker. You see, we'll make like a 30-second post, a GIF post or something like that. So you see a red sneaker on the outside. And then it spins around, and as it's spinning, it turns upside down. And as it turns upside down, you see inside the sneaker, and you see that memory foam. And you see my hand go in there, or someone's hand go in there and squeeze it. And you can see me pushing it down and coming back. And you get the idea that that's very comfortable to wear. So Professor Ken's red sneaker is made with high quality, the best memory foam available into the market that'll help keep you comfortable all day long, right? So now you can pull all this together. Now that's one post. So right here, if you're doing posting, you have 3 posts. You could turn it all kinds of different ways. So everything we do turns into content. Remember, that's how we're getting in front of our consumer. We have to be driven by the content. Everything we do has to be driven by the content. That's why all these documents that we work on, I always save them. Sometimes I have a worksheet when I'm going through a project. I can have a worksheet that's almost like 200 and something pages long. I never toss anything out. I always keep the same file, and I just keep adding to it, adding to it, adding to it, and adding to it. And I always go back to that file because you can always go back and use that data. Now you will refine things. It's not always going to stay this way, but you need to have a starting point. So you'll see when you get ready to post something online or publish something on a website, you need a good, clear descriptions. Now there's things we talk about in the coming sessions about keywords. A keyword is how someone will find your product. We haven't talked about that yet here, but I'm sure if we did a quick search, comfortable memory foam would come up in the sneaker search. So that's part of the keywords too. Okay, so now you've got your feature and you've got your benefit. Okay, good. Any questions there? Perfect. Okay, now let's talk about that price. Nothing happens without the price. We understand that. If I had an option about pricing something, I probably would want to be a higher price item than a lower price item. And you can always do sales and discounts, right? Rather than a lower price item than a higher price item. It all depends on what you're paying for it, all right? But let's talk about first what we call the 3 C's of price. There are 3 C's of price. What do you think the first C of a price is? I brought it up earlier in our discussion. COGS. Exactly right, yes. So COGS, cost of goods sold, cost. That's your first C in price. You have to know how much something costs before you can set a price. Okay, that's really important. What do you think another C could be? Are you the only one in the market selling that product?
Competence.
Competition, right. The competition, okay? Okay, now, the competition is important because it doesn't matter what you price it for. You could say you want to sell something for $75, but if the competition is at $50, you have a hurdle there. That could be too expensive. Or the competition could be $110, and then you're not the best quality product. You're in the middle somewhere. So you have to think about the competition. Okay. This is an easy one. The last C. Who else do we need to worry about? Exactly right. The customer. Because everybody is here tonight. Everyone's here taking this class. We all talked about price. Professor Ken said it's really important. And we worked out our math and we did our COGS and we looked at our competition and we set the price and then we put it out there. But then the customer said, you guys are crazy. I will not spend $75 for a pair of red sneakers. The customer ultimately tells you what they're going to pay for that particular product. So they eventually will dictate what's going to happen there. So the 3 C's are price, COGS, competition, and customer. You need to know that first. Now there's really different types of pricing that we have to understand. So let's think about that here for a second. I could be, if I put together a grid, right? And let's say this is high quality here. This is high quality. Okay, this is quality. High quality is here. And this is going to be high price over here. And this will be low price. And this will be low quality. Okay? So basically 4 quadrants of price zones. High quality, low quality, high price, low price. So now the question is, where are we putting our product? We said that this product is going to be high quality, high price, right? So if we did that, that means it'll be about there somewhere. Agreed? Okay. You could also, if you wanted to, have a low quality, low price product and be down here. That's an option. Or if you wanted to, somehow you could have a low quality with a high price. Yeah. You could do that also. Or you could have a high quality with a low price. So you have different quadrants that you could be in. What you don't want to be is in the middle, right? Because if you're in the middle, then you have to worry about all these 4 quadrants coming at you. So let's think about this for a second. If, when you go on Amazon, you punch in a pair of red sneakers, what do you see? You see 100 pairs of red sneakers that come up. The first thing you start looking at, probably, if I had to guess, is price. You have a budget. Everybody has a budget in mind. Okay. By the way, we call that reference pricing. Reference pricing means we already know what something should cost us before we get there. Like, what should a pair of red sneakers cost us? We said $50 is the average, right? So if we see a pair of red sneakers for $75, what do we start thinking? The average price, we know in our mind, the average price of a pair of red sneakers should be $50. We do an Amazon search. The first thing we see is a pair of red sneakers for $75. So what do we think? They're expensive, or better quality, or higher quality. Or we ask ourselves, why are they $75? And then right underneath there, there's one for $49 or $54.99. That's the price that we had in reference. So that's a reference price. Okay. So you don't want to be stuck in the middle, though. You don't want to be the shoe or the product that's in the middle, because then you have to worry about all these other competitive items coming after you. Now, so that's what we call positioning. Positioning is how you place the product in the mind of your consumer. And your price sort of helps get you there to positioning. I'll give you an example. If I say to you the words Mercedes-Benz, what do you think of?
Low quality, high price.
Definitely not. You think of a luxury you think of a luxury high quality vehicle, right? Okay. Right. If I say to you Hyundai, like a Hyundai Kona, you think of a more affordable value car, right? Not a luxury car, but a more affordable car. So you see the positioning in your mind is already there. You already know what to expect. So you have that reference already in your head. So now when I say my sneaker is the most comfortable sneaker that you could possibly wear, it has this incredible leather, and it's a high quality sneaker, I have to sort of position it in the marketplace that way. So when you look online, you see, oh yes, Professor Ken's sneaker is $75 and it is high quality. That doesn't mean you're going to buy it, because maybe it's outside of your budget. But my positioning is that there will be someone, out of 10 of us in the room, maybe 2 of them would buy a higher price sneaker. That goes to targeting now. We'll talk about that a little more when we talk about targets. That doesn't mean we can sell it to everybody. So now we're narrowing our target. We only want to go after people that could spend money on a high quality, higher price sneaker. That's okay. We'll sell less, but we make more money on it, right? They're more engaged, more loyal, more online. So that's what positioning is. So we have to position our product. That's where this price comes into play. That's really, really important. So now let's talk about that section 3 here. I'm going to make our sneaker $100, okay? I know it's higher than what we said. So that's what we're selling for. We're selling it for 100, okay? All right. So now if we sell a product for $100, we have a cost of goods sold. That's COGS, C-O-G-S. In most cases, COGS represents about 50% of your selling price. So if you sell something for $100, more than likely you paid probably $50 for it. As a rough estimate, it should be better. In fact, now online, if you sell something for $10, you probably should pay no more than $30 or $35 or even $40 for it. Because you need to have at least a 55 to 65% margin on some of these items. Sometimes we call keystoning. So if we buy something for $50 and we double it, then that's $100. That's keystoning, that's just doubling it. Right now, well, you might hear that called 2x. 2x is the term, right? 2 times the price that we pay. Right now, you probably want a 4 to 5x. So you should maybe buy it for $20 if you're selling it for $100. Because all those things we talked about, the cost, the shipping cost, the returns, the marketing, all that stuff has to come out of it. So you have to think about that as you're processing it. So for now, let's just stick with the keystone. Let's just stick to the $50, okay? So here's what we're selling it for, and our cost is $50. By math, if we do the math up here, this is approximately 50% as an estimate, okay? 50% more or less there. Okay. The next thing we want to calculate is what we call SG&A. Now remember, this is marketing. This is not finance or accounting. So finance people and accounting people freak out when I do this type of math. SG&A is really how much it costs you to sell that particular product. Selling and general administrative expenses. That's what SG&A stands for. Most cases, it shouldn't be more than 15%. That's the very high. The average is probably about 10%. So in this case, we'll use the number 10% of the selling price, by the way, right? So 10% of this 100 is $10. Okay, everybody see that math there? Okay.
Sorry, what is SGA?
SG&A, selling, general administrative expenses. So basically, SG&A would be what it cost you to sell the product. All right. It may be everything. It may be it's a bucket. Let's just put it this way. What we're doing is we're bucketing our expenses. I have one more line called TC, which is total cost.
Right, there is the shipping, for example.
You could put shipping in SG&A. You could put returns there. You could put that in the other line, which is TC, which is another bucket for cost.
How do you get that cost?
Which one?
That one? SGA?
SG&A?
How do you estimate that cost?
Well, you all know it once you start selling it, but the estimate's probably about 10%.
10%?
Yeah, no more than 15. So estimate in the beginning about 10%. If something is costing you more than 10% to sell, that's really tough. Yeah, that's pretty high. So you have to watch that number. There are products that cost a lot more than that, but you have to look at the variables. Returns, it depends on where you want to put it. You could put it here, or you could put it in the next bucket, which will be total cost, TC. And 10% is a number I use also for total cost. So that's another $10, right? Okay, remember that this is where we started from up here. Now, what else do we need here to count for? Marketing. Right. I always put marketing separate because what I want to know is how much money will it cost me to market this particular product? Now, again, this is not a finance sheet. This is just a rough estimate, rough calculation, so I can see if I'm going to be profitable here or not. So in this case, I don't like this number. I want it to be higher, but I'll just put 10% in there as a placeholder. 10% of the selling price, which will be $100, that's $10, right? Okay. So that's basically everything that we have to calculate for. There are other things that we have to calculate for, but in this exercise, we're just putting in the 4 buckets. So now we add these up, 50, 60, 70, 80. This is $80. Less from that 100, that means here we have a $20. This would be more of a gross profit here. That doesn't mean that's the money that you're profiting. That just means that's the top line you're putting, after all these expenses, the top line you're putting out. Now, all these other expenses, like the returns, where do we put that? We put that into total cost, possibly. Shipping, where do we put that? We can put that in total cost. It depends on how you align it. But you have to, maybe you can make this one bucket and just say it's 20%. So now that we have everything calculated, our gross profit is $20. So we're making more or less $20 on a $100 sale. That's a good, healthy top line. That doesn't include paying yourself, perhaps. It doesn't include insurance. It might not include any additional charges you're not covering in total cost. So this is going to creep up as you start adding all these expenses. So this could creep up maybe to 30%, 20%. But you have to have an idea of what it looks like so that you could start coming up with these calculations. Okay? So that's what that product price and cost is. You have to be able to do an analysis there. If you're a 0 here, then you're not in a good spot. That means that something is not right. Maybe you're buying the product too much. Maybe you're selling it for too low. Maybe your expenses are too high. And that's what you do. If you have to, so let's say we have to reduce that price to $80, right? Now we reduce the price to $80. It still costs us $50 to sell. It still costs us $10 to manage it. It still costs us $10 on total cost, and we have to market it $10. So we reduce it to $80, we make $0. So you have to have an understanding of what your numbers are. The numbers are going to drive everything we do online. All right? So that's really the 4 Ps: the product, the place, the promotion, the price. We'll talk more about the promotion as we start digging into specific social media and web design, of course. So let's make sure we know what our product is. Let's make sure we understand what the product is, have a clear product description. Let's make sure we understand what the features and benefits are. Let's understand who that product is, who's going to buy that product. That's going to come back to our personas when we get there. And then let's talk about price, making sure we understand the price and understand all that too. Okay?